So chapter 14, which is largely about RAROC, the point about RAROC, one of the points, is that it gives us a common economic yardstick to measure risks and positions. So that's both horizontally, business unit, customer, and product level, but also vertically, a way for us to aggregate transaction, customer, portfolio, and total firm level. So a graphic that I've like to use here to illustrate some of these concepts that sort of summarizes some of the key terminology. So this would be a good time right now to pay attention to this distribution here. Notice it's not the normal distribution because it has the positive skew. And so right away we sort of get a hint that this is probably not a market risk distribution. I mean, it could be, but it's more likely this is a credit or operational risk distribution. And then notice RAROC is going to be risk-adjusted return divided by economic capital. So we'll get more specific about that in a minute. But let's take our distribution here and identify first the economic capital. Well, in general, it's going to correspond to the unexpected loss. So we take this distribution here and we imagine that it's the credit losses that could occur. We're going to have to, starting from the left here and over to some point here, and this may be a mean, we're going to have the expected losses. And then in credit terms, or in terms of the credit portfolio, and in terms of the operational portfolio largely, we're going to say the expected losses are sort of a cost of doing business. And in the case of a credit portfolio, you'll recall that expected losses are going to be probably default times loss given default. So that's a credit concept, but the terminology here, because we're talking about RAROC, part of the virtue of RAROC is that it can be applied across the risk buckets. So we can take the same concept, extend it across the risk buckets, and then aggregate it. So the fact that this here is a credit risk concept doesn't interfere with our idea that we can have an expected loss concept here, or an expected drift. And then we're going to have an unexpected loss portion. And so in general, if you think about credit, we say the expected loss is covered by provisions or charged to, reflected in the yield and really handled in the income statement. Unexpected loss are covered with capital. Capital is the buffer. So the economic capital generally corresponds here to the unexpected loss. These really should extend over here. So I just did that, matched that up a little bit.